What's up, Taiwan? I'm Rik Glauert with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. TSMC, the world's largest contract chip maker, is expected to win $5 billion in federal grants for its projects in Arizona. That's according to Bloomberg. The funding would give a boost to TSMC's venture in the US, a $40 billion facility in Phoenix set to make advanced 3 and 5 nanometer chips. The new plants have faced delays as labor unions raise concerns over competition from foreign workers in the local job market. Taiwan's military is letting people hop aboard a few of its warships. It's part of a Navy open house meant to encourage enlistment. Our reporter Jaime Ocon is there.
Hundreds of people have come out to the port of Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan for a chance to get up close to these 3 warships. Now, for the next month, these ships will be making several stops around the country. The main goal is to inspire more people to enlist, but it's also a chance for upcoming Naval Academy graduates to get a real experience of life at sea.
也很高兴可以来参加敦睦远航。那我也希望未来我们能够展现我们的长才，帮助海军在 可以让国人更看到，那也很高兴可以参与这次的敦睦远航，当做我们的毕业旅行。那也预祝这次敦睦远航顺利。
Taiwan's Navy is crucial to the country's security, as it's constantly on guard against Chinese warships that sail close to the country. The 3 ships here are some of the most important in the fleet. They include a support ship used to transport supplies and 2 frigate warships with advanced missiles. Like many militaries around the world, Taiwan is facing a recruitment shortage, and there are concerns that in the future there won't be enough soldiers to defend the country. And so the hope here is that these flashy systems might be able to catch the eye of the next generation of sailors. Howard Zhang and Jaime Ocon in Kaohsiung for TaiwanPlus.
Asia's largest joint military exercise has wrapped up in Thailand. Soldiers from Thailand, the US and South Korea ended the annual Cobra Gold exercises with live fire drills, featuring artillery, fighter jets and other military hardware. Cobra Gold is one of the longest running joint drills in the world. The show of force comes as Washington looks to shore up regional alliances in the face of increasing aggression from China. India says some of its nationals have been trafficked into the Russian army and forced to fight in the Ukraine war. India's foreign ministry says it's in talks with Russia to return the young men. At least 35 Indian nationals went to Russia to take up job offers but ended up fighting on the front line in Ukraine. 2 are believed to have died.
Strong action has been initiated against agents and unscrupulous elements who recruited them on false pretexts and promises. The CBI yesterday busted a major human trafficking network, conducting searches in several cities and collecting incriminating evidence.
Women account for a growing number of homeowners in Taiwan. As Tiffany Wong reports, it's a trend that reflects a changing society.
Giving her family a home. 70-year-old Miss Dai saved for years to buy this 890-square-foot house in New Taipei. She's part of a growing number of women buying houses in Taiwan. Women now represent more than 48% of the country's homeowners, a 10-year high. Rents are on the rise, and Miss Dai encourages other prospective homeowners not to give up on their dream.
可是我的想法是，你要有大的目标以后，你才能够有小确幸。
In the capital Taipei, the percentage of female homeowners has even surpassed that of men for the first time. Real estate market watchers say that as marriage and birth rates decline, women with fewer family burdens are choosing to buy homes for themselves. But women living alone might have some specific concerns when searching for a home.
主要的标的会以这个有管理的大楼为主，因为毕竟女孩子可能会比较在乎这个社区的这个保全维安啊。
But whether they can afford extra amenities like these depends on how much they can save. And with women's salaries still 14.7% lower than men's on average, it's clear that Taiwan's gender gap runs deep, leaving women with fewer options when it comes to climbing the property ladder. Kamashri and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
70 years after the first nuclear weapons test in history, some victims of its fallout feel forgotten. Now, with Oppenheimer expected to sweep this year's Oscars, they're speaking up. Bryn Thomas takes a look.
At 5:29 a.m. on July 16, 1945, the United States tested the world's first atomic bomb in the state of New Mexico. Less than a month later, it dropped one in Hiroshima and another on Nagasaki, the first and only use of nuclear weapons in combat, ending World War II, the bloodiest war in history. The bombs killed as many as 226,000 people in Imperial Japan, but they were not the first victims of a nuclear age. People living near Ground Zero of the first test in New Mexico were also affected.
And I asked him, I can remember asking him, Dad, what happened? Did the sun blow up? Well, it was so bright you couldn't see anything. And after, I guess, 10 or 15 minutes, it just started going away, and it just turned red, and then it went away. And then days later, all this ash started falling out. But yeah, I couldn't figure out what had happened, and nobody else did because they did not tell us anything.
Who gave them the power to destroy themselves?
70 years later, the Trinity Test is back on everyone's minds. Christopher Nolan's biopic Oppenheimer, which details the development of the first three bombs and their creator, physicist Robert Oppenheimer, is expected to sweep this year's Oscars. It's a far cry from 1945, when the atomic bomb, codenamed the Manhattan Project, was the United States' best kept secret.
And I know days later my dad asked somebody about it, and all we ever got was that the ammunition dump blowed up. That's all they ever told us.
The Burris family was living 40 kilometers downwind from the blast, in a remote part of New Mexico the U.S. government considered uninhabited. In reality, thousands of people lived within 80 kilometers of the site. In the days after the test, torrential rains exposed their land, water supply, and food chain to radiation.
We didn't count for anything. In the big picture of things, we didn't count for anything. They thought we were expendable. They thought that it was no big deal if they detonated a bomb right in the middle of where we were living. And they have treated it like that ever since. They said at the time that the area was remote and uninhabited.
The U.S. went on to open-air test nearly 1,000 weapons in Nevada, Utah, and New Mexico. Many studies show it resulted in higher rates of cancer in people living there.
I've got skin cancers. You look right there behind my ear. Look right there. You see that stuff? That's what that is. That's what come from those bombs. And all down the side of my neck there.
Burris lost his brother to cancer. His sister had it, and his niece has it now. And as New Mexicans, they weren't covered under the U.S.'s Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which only provided for people in Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. No New Mexican has received any compensation for the effects of the tests, and their story is left out of the film Oppenheimer.
Tens of millions of people are going to see this film. They could still add at the end of the film a panel acknowledging our sacrifice and suffering. But wouldn't it be remarkable if during the Academy Awards, even one of them, any one of them said, I want to acknowledge the sacrifice and the suffering of the people of New Mexico.
In the end, Oppenheimer is a 3-hour movie about a bomb with just one explosion. But that blast and its effects can be felt generations later in places like New Mexico. Devin Tsai and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
For decades, children around the world have played with Barbie dolls, but Taiwanese women were once behind the brand's success. Our reporter Sandy Chi brings us the story.
Barbie, a sexist doll or feminist icon. However you look at it, toy maker Mattel's taken the world by storm since 1959. And its plastic dolls remain some of the world's most popular toys. But behind the scenes, Taiwan played an important role in the brand's success. Here in Taishan, a small town in the country's north, the Meining factory was once a major manufacturing base, producing most of the Barbie dolls in the world. Retired factory worker Xu Julian was part of it.
我在这边服务了6年，待过缝纫部跟福利社。
Xu joined the doll manufacturing plant at the age of 17. And in the 1970s, she and about 8,000 other workers made about 80% of the world's Barbie dolls.
你看一天多少几千位员工在生产，每天在做，能够销到全世界。像我们一个玩具可能玩个几年嘛，对不对？可是天天生产呢，你还可以销售出去，那也真的不简单呢。
And most of the staff there were young women.
大部分都是女性。 那么每一个女孩子都是非常勤劳、非常漂亮。那这个工厂每当下班的时候，整个马路都是美女一大堆，因为它男性比较少。
Taishan was an ideal location for Mattel to make the dolls, as it was an important hub for petrochemical and textile industries in Taiwan. Government incentives also helped, providing cheap labor. Though the factory produced most of the Barbies in the world, they were all sold overseas. It was only until 1982 did they sell it domestically here in Taiwan, and it is this Barbie here in my hand. Back then, one Barbie cost over $30, which was about a month's worth of wages here at the factory. Staff who could not afford to buy the dolls would sometimes take parts of them home, putting them together themselves later.
只要是女生都会喜欢它吧，只是碍于当时的经济呀，销售状况听说是还不错啦，因为有能力买的人买嘛，像我们这些就可能会考虑啦。
But the industrial boom didn't last forever. The factory closed in 1987 due to rising labor costs. But some workers there have continued to work with Barbie. Xu is a volunteer at Taisan's Barbie Museum, which was set up in 2004. It's a place for people like Xu to share their stories about the iconic doll, in hopes that more people will remember how this small town once played a significant role in Barbie's success. Come as Xu and Sanny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
The city of Tainan is known as Taiwan's food capital, famous for its vibrant delicacies. But as Rhys Ayres reports, new research shows that European settlers could have influenced the local cuisine.
A city of delicacies. Taiwan's former capital, Tainan, is renowned for its cuisine, serving up dishes like beef soup, milkfish congee, and fried fish stew. But research indicates that these popular dishes may not be totally Taiwanese. Tainan is the oldest city in Taiwan. 4 centuries ago, the Dutch East India Company set up a trading post there, bringing with them recipes that share striking similarities to some of Tainan's classic dishes, something even some local vendors weren't aware of.
是还蛮惊讶的，哎呀，因为我想说，虱目鱼不是台南人开始养殖的吗？
其实是我爸爸在做的时候，之前我们才知道有这个土托鱼，跟否则我们也不知道，我们小时候也不知道这个有。对呀，是蛮有趣的。
Though one restaurant goer says the history checks out.
我觉得是有可能啊，因为毕竟那时候就是被统治蛮多的，嘿，对，就像现在有一些荷兰的血统的人，我不觉得意外。
Research by Zheng Wei-chung at Academia Sinica, Taiwan's National Research Institute, suggests that Chinese immigrants living in Tainan at the time adopted European cooking styles brought over by Dutch colonists, including a preference for eating preserved fish. Milkfish, one of the most notable dishes from Tainan, is known as sabalo in Spanish, and records from 17th century sailors found in Taiwan show they may have brought recipes from Europe.
郑老师呢，他是依据了大航海时期这一些水手船遗留下来的这些文献的记录，还有他们手绘的素描，还有当时候的人可能会说什么样子的语言，以及水手他在船上保存跟烹调鱼肉的方式来去做综合的推断，就发现说，当时候的做法其实跟现在的土托鱼羹的做法其实是很类似的。
As Tainan celebrates 400 years since it was founded and centuries of cultural exchange with European settlers, it provides an opportunity for Taiwan's foodie capital to examine the origins of some of its most famous dishes. Eason Chen and Rhys Ayres for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out these images of the Art Dubai event showcasing digital, AI and contemporary art. I'm Rik Glauert, take care and we will see you next time.